Welcome to the session. We'll be discussing today business in the light of the contemporary situations arising, emerging systems impacting on business industry, and all the individuals as a human resource. The topic needs a session of not only 90 minutes, but it can be dealt with at least in 2 to 3 sessions. But I will be trying to minimize, present in gist, what's going on around us, where we are, where we stand today, and where we need to go further. As we know that we are passing through a very typical time we never had seen in the history, at least in last 100 years. It is unprecedented time, we call it. And when we refer it to the history, it is unparalleled, at least in last century. Nobody who is living in this planet has seen this, I'm damn sure. Because nobody has seen what it was Spanish flu 100 years back. But we are witnessing an era where the systems have been changed 360 degrees. We used to call as a technique of assessing or evaluating and a feedback system. But how we responded to this complete reversal of the whole of the systems as such. So I will be taking you to a journey from my slides, and I will be showing some videos also, 1 or 2, wherein I may say making rounds in different social networking groups too. But they are worth pondering, they are worth watching and listening where we are heading for. So let me begin with my first slide. Could you see this?
No, sir.
No, just a moment. Let me check. Now you can see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please off your mics. I gave the name as changing business paradigm. A new paradigm is emerging, and that we have to recognize it as a new normal. What we are going through the norm of distancing, but at the same time, we are having connectivity which is seamless. So it is unprecedented era of distancing, you may say. At the same time, we also have physical isolation, but very well connected with whatever the means we name, maybe e-means, maybe electronic means, or any different name you give. But it is a network through which we are working, we are interacting, we are teaching, we are learning, we are understanding, we are living. So whole aspects of the life, all walks of life rather you may say, have been impacted by the pandemic. It has given to new ways of thinking and managing the affairs either in life or business. If you see the slide, it has given some new areas that we have to explore and we have to ignite it. All are there in line, but only one is able to ignite itself. So this is due to the thinking process one has adopted. It indicates that we need to ignite, we need to enlighten others by having a proper response to the situation through which we are passing. It is an era of change, basically. It is uncovering a new era for what? For economic buffer, for economic gain, and for the benefit of the human mankind. We need to relook it. We need to rediscover things. We need to rethink, and we have to work accordingly as the situation demands. Since the businesses are vital for the human society, particularly after the dawn of the new millennium, we find ourselves, after 20 years of it, on the crossroad. Because prior to the COVID-19 onslaught, we have been doing business as usual. It was all regular and everything was normal. But we were compelled by the system of a pandemic rather, that has impacted all the businesses all over the world, maybe for good, maybe for bad, or sometimes somewhere even worse. It is compelling all stakeholders to relook and see there is a light at the end of the tunnel. With this spirit, we have to manage our affairs and we have to move forward. We have to write the history that we passed through these turbulent times in the most satisfying way. If you see the changing economic environment, you will realize that it is not simple. It is very complex. When something is complex, you have to always keep in mind that you cannot have a simple solution for a complex world. Our solution, our action, our efforts should be directed in such a way that the complex is broken into parts. We have to have the strategy of divide and conquer, then only we would be able to address, to come up, and to solve the problem. Problem solving is ultimately the goal we need to have when we take on any complex situation. Since the economic environment we have been put in since last 30 years is borderless economy, free trade, liberal systems, market economy, global systems, and so many different names we give. All they are used in the parlance of the business with one single thing, that we have the boundary of the whole globe as the black box within which we have to function and we have to operate. So the businesses are very complex in nature. There is no simple buying and trading. We say it that the business has become very simple. You manufacture anything here and sell it here. But it passes through very complex and very complicated ways and roads, and then it reaches the destination. It's complex from the angle of functioning also. All the functional systems within a business system is becoming complex, at the same time very, so much saddled with the intricacies. So much complex in the sense that number of problems you have to solve and number of problems you get solved through some other helps. So we categorize basically the problem solving from the angle of its structuredness. Generally, we categorize the business problems as routine one. We call it as a structured one. And sometimes the situations which are very not common, but usual, it comes in business sometimes. We categorize them as semi-structured. And something new which is coming, unprecedented sometimes, very complex, with so much of, care, we get it done through unstructured decisions. For the purpose of structured decisions, we have delegated in last 3 decades the task to computer-based systems. We have been telling that as electronic data processing system earlier, then we changed it to computer-based system, then we changed it to IT-based systems. In last decade, we call it as IC-based systems, and now we are calling as automated systems, AI-based systems, artificial intelligence-based systems. So complex nature of business is being also addressed by the business intelligence systems or business intelligence support systems, rather, you may say. Next point is the changing environment is nothing but a performance-oriented demand. It demands that we need to perform and we must try to have an orientation towards achievement through performance. Performance orientation is the ultimate key factor we consider while we take any solution or any alternate options we consider. Performance orientation also speaks about efficiency, at the same time, effectiveness. Performance orientation also says that we must have to have economy in all the things that all we do to solve a problem. So performance orientation has many dimensions. It is not only working like a bull, but it is working with open eyes, with rationality, with proper thinking, focused attention, and so many things. So performance orientation also includes all these dimensions. So you can understand how difficult it is to bring the consonance, to bring the harmony in all these different dimensions of performance orientation. Next is focusing on high returns. We are going into for anything that has been tasked to us, that has been assigned to us, maybe in the name of a decision making, maybe in the name of a decision at a board meeting. We have to have a very focused approach towards getting return on investment, return on efforts, return on initiatives, return on performance. The returns, we have to focus and see that whatever the returns we are focusing on should be high in nature and it should be synergetic in nature. We should not have to have a constant relationship of input and output, but we must have to have increasing return that is to be focused always, so that whatever the input, whatever we are putting as a resource, that should pay us more in return, maybe in terms of financial terms you talk about, in terms of improvement in the system you talk about, performance and betterment you talk about, or overall efficiency and effectiveness you talk about. The focus should be getting high returns in the name of technical benefits, in the name of financial benefits, or in the name of operational benefits. Whatever the focus you have, all these three outcomes you will have. First, you will have high returns in terms of technology, high returns in terms of operations, high returns in terms of maintenance and management of affairs and resources. Next important aspect that we must consider for assessing the changing economic environment is emphasis is on creativity, then talent, then knowledge and performance. Creativity and talent have become the buzzword since last 15 months. Knowledge is an exogenous factor of production, now we say. Traditionally, when we studied the factors of production, we simply say that it is land, labor, capital, and organization. We consider only 4 factors generally when we talk of factors of production. But one more factor that has been added in last 3 decades is a knowledge. Knowledge has become an exogenous factor when we talk it or take it as one of the important factors of production. Performance already has been covered, so I'm not covering here in this point. Next important aspect is process innovation centric approach. Your process should be such that it must add some value to it, something new it should bring in for good. And innovation centric approach demands that you should go on continuously improving whatever the processes you have. Radically, at the beginning of this new millennium, we were having business process reengineering as a buzzword, and BPR was considered to be the game changer earlier, that when we, I may say, started using it in 20 years back time, I think. So process innovation is another dimension that has been now added to the BPR, and everybody is now going for process innovation centric approach. That is what the Kaizen says, that you must go on changing and improving your system and process every time, so that some new thing, some new return you get on it, maybe in terms of economy, maybe in terms of technology benefit, maybe in terms of process ease, or maybe, I may say, in ease of doing things. So ultimately, process innovation ultimately helps in improving systems, relooking at your system, and going with the spirit of the Kaizen. On the other hand, also we are having TQ and concept, which also focuses on this, that is to improve the process, to improve the quality. And it should be an important point, important part of your quality management system. So when we talk of the changing economic environment, we also consider value migration. Because of this onslaught, or because of this, I may say, cross-cultural encounters, value migration taken place, and this value migration should also be considered as important one. If you remember one advertisement, I can give you a citation for you. Amir Khan was giving, I may say, adding for the Coca-Cola for ₹5, if you remember. He used to call it Panch Ka 5, a small bottle of ₹5. That has resulted into proliferation of the soft drink market into nook and corner of India, in all the villages. If not all 6 lakh villages, at least 3 lakh villages it reached there. And the people in rural areas started using soft drinks. Earlier they never had. So this is something which is being projected, which is being shown as important for your life, for your society. So some sort of value migration also takes place when cross-cultural encounters are there, because the nature of the organization, if you see, it's all multinational culture, it's all global, truly global organizations operating and having a very high beam projections of their marketing and making the values of theirs as the values of the whole globe. So these are the, I may say, factors we need to consider when we talk of how the economic environment of the whole world is changing. Now I'm coming to the latest developments in last 2 years. What has happened? What has changed? So on one side, we are having a pre-COVID era aspects. In the next, we have, and during the COVID, how we have done in businesses. The first rectangle shows us that uncertainty was rising in pre-COVID era. How? We started globalization in late 80s. China took up the initiative before we take up LPG as our economic, I may say, initiative in 90s. In the late 80s, China started operating at a global level, asked organizations to set up their units in China. We allowed, after GATT agreement, WTO sign, and endorsing the Dunkel draft, we moved as a policy for reforms in 1991. That we continued till 2015. After the taking over the reins of US, the US president started saying something about protectionism. He was against whatever that was sent to America or US. US president also said that it is uncertain time and we must have to have the benefit of our country as our first priority. If you remember, the American lobby was responsible for imposing reforms all over the world. After making all economies borderless and global in nature, they started practicing protectionism. That has led to the war of words between different developing and developed countries. Uncertainty was rising. They started criticizing developing countries by saying that because of the consumption, because of the, higher income, the middle income groups, the developing countries are using more food items that is resulting into shortages in US. That was the argument given by the US president. Uncertainty was there. China was, lobbying with other countries, and that was resulting into economic tilt at international level. So even pre-COVID era, if you see, 2017, 18, 19, if you see, there was uncertainty. And that has led to the Brexit. What do you mean by Brexit? Can anybody respond on this from your side? Brexit? From participants?
Britain took out its membership from European Union, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Exit of
Britain has, opted out of the European Union. We call it as
Brexit.
British exit. So it was Brexit. But that was halfway done later on, and that resulted into different disputes and all that. But okay, leave it. Then there were some trade disputes between the countries related to the, dumping, related to the, charging of duties on imports. So sort of a protectionism type of a thing that was something followed by all countries all over the world. And there was one major issue of decarbonization. It was having all, impact, particularly in developing countries like India. As you know that we are, one of the major consumers. China and India are the major consumers of coal. And that results into emission of carbon. And that has led to the, problems in the environment and all that. So many restrictions were imposed. Many guidelines were issued for us. And we were compelled to, also have the carbon accounting concept introduced in different, in different, filing system for Indian corporates also. So these were the, changing, these were the situations. Uncertainty was rising. Brexit on one hand, trade disputes were there. Decarbonization, debate was going on. And immediately on scene came the COVID in January 2019. We have seen for the first time, what do we mean by shutdown? We never had word, heard this shutdown in our common parlance. Shutdown was there only in, the manufacturing houses. They used to have the shutdown, annual shutdown, and maintenance shutdown they used to call. But shutdown of whole economy, it was unprecedented and never seen in, in India at least, and such a large extent. Whole world was, under shutdown. So that is something very, important from the angle of economic change, from the angle of the change in the life, from the angle of change in the behavior, from the angle of change in thinking, and so many impacts it has. Then hybrid work started. We were working somewhat in online mode, something in offline mode, something in some other form, and using different, innovative methods of doing things. So hybrid work is also one important trend through which we are passing. Then we are having all reversal. What we used to pray, what we used to do, is totally now changed. As I told you, it's a 360-degree change we have. We used to have, I may say, home and office as two important segregated things. Now we are making office our home. Sorry, we are making our homes our office. We are making the school for children at our home. So all these reversals we never had seen. We are passing through it. So it has changed the whole setup of life, whole norm of life. That's why we are admitting it, accepting it, endorsing it, and working with it as a new normal of life. Now, what is constant in this? What is constant? So there are three aspects which are now we consider as constant one. Learning. We have to learn from womb to tomb, we call it. Right from birth till death, we are a student. But we need to learn more. We need to learn more how to live because our basic systems have changed. We need to learn how to respond to situation because it's all, I may say, very typical type of living system through which we are passing. So we are learning new lessons in our lives, whether it is in personal life, whether in our society, whether in our businesses, industry, economy. You talk about any aspect, all walks of life of human race, we have learning as at the central stage. We need to adapt. Adapt what? We need to adopt new ways of thinking, new normal, as I told you, and we are adopting it. Maybe with full-hearted, or maybe half-hearted, or maybe as a compelling factor. But we need to adapt to the situation. And the next important thing is change. Change is constant. The rest of the things are changing. So change is must. It remained constant. It is important aspect of not only the lives, but for everything, whatever we have, change is considered to be the most important aspect of constant. Learning, adaptation to the situation, and changing ourselves so that we can respond it correctly, we can respond it properly, and with a due care, we respond to the situations. Now, this is McKinsey's report I am referring. I have given here. I have quoted also the McKinsey report's URL. The COVID-19 crisis and subsequent move to hybrid working models accelerated the need for new workforce skills. What skills? Particularly social, emotional, and advanced cognitive abilities. They have done one survey and they found that 58% of respondents to their recent survey that closing skill gaps has become the highest priority after the beginning of the pandemic. This is the report they have published on 4th of August. It means it is the latest reports that I am sharing today. Statistics only hints at the need for retaining for what? The research from the McKinsey Global Institute finds that more than 100 million workers in 8 large economies may need to switch occupation by 2030. What it means? It means we need to reskill our human resource, we need to upskill our human resource, and we need to understand new ways of doing things. So this report speaks about 100 million workers in China, in India, in US, in UK, in France, and all 8 large economies. So it's 10 years time that 100 million means 10 crore people will have to get themselves adjusted in some other professions or occupations. It means these professions these vocations will no longer exist in 2030. Because we are learning, we are changing, we are leaving the earlier system and moving into some new systems. So that is resulting into leaving the existing shell and going into the new shell. Companies should make a comprehensive inventory of skills across their organizations, create skill hubs for ongoing learning, and build learning ecosystem through partnership with communities and educators. It means good days are ahead for us as educators, for us as a responsible partner, as a community in the whole ecosystem of learning. Because ultimately, the focus is shifting to skills and knowledge. Whatever the know how we were having, we need to unlearn it, leave it, and learn new things. And every organization will need to have the inventory of skills. We may predict one thing here, that as the environmental accounting or segment accounting or carbon accounting is becoming a part of your annual returns, skill reporting will also become a part of it sometime, not in here, near future, maybe after 2030 or so. Because it says that there is a comprehensive inventory system we must have from the angle of skill, what we consider as to be the asset. And really it is the real, recognition to human resource as the important capital asset or important asset of any organization. You can go through this, McKinsey reports. It's their, reporting is continuous one. And maybe 66th or 64th report, I think they have published and day before yesterday. Then COVID-19 is a game changer in terms of its human and business impact. And if you see from the angle of a changer, I'm not only talking about the slowdown in the economy and only the, returns that are not up to the mark what we have been expecting, and totally shift into the more spending on different, priority sectors like food and health and all that. What we need to understand is that it has changed the whole gamut of human resources. What is needed? We need to have a non-linear process now. We were, accustomed to, we were perfectly adjusted ourselves into a linear process with a constant, system of working in the same direction, in the same sitting. So there were hardly any changes. Once an assistant professor was employed, he was having, say, 30 or 35 years of term. Every day he has to come there, teach there for 4 or 5 hours and go there. So we were having a sort of a monotonous way of working. There were nothing new. But since the advent, since the onslaught of this COVID, you must have seen, you must have observed yourself that you are making yourself compatible with the situation. You're improving upon the skills of teaching through online mode. So you are acquiring some new skills. So indirectly or directly, it has changed the human resources way of responding to the situation. We are also into learning process more than in dissemination of knowledge now, because it is, it's basically we call it as a Nonaka model of knowledge management. That is to acquire knowledge, to organize knowledge, and to disseminate knowledge. We call it as AOD model of Nonaka, of a Japanese model it is, which says that you must continuously go on acquiring knowledge, you must continuously go on organizing the knowledge in proper formats, and then you should go on disseminating knowledge. So what we are today into it, we all are in the phase of acquiring knowledge and learning new systems. We are properly organizing the knowledge into different forms and formats, and then we are also sharing and disseminating knowledge. As we also, know that knowledge when we disseminate, that become valuable, that become meaningful. If the knowledge remains same, dormant, if it is not shared, then it is not at all valuable. So sharing of knowledge should be in the way in which people are receiving now. So it's online mode only through which we can deliver, we can disseminate, and we can acquire knowledge. And now the how we need to have effective responses to change. We need to plan so as to effectively we should respond to the change. The way we view the firm and its role in the business community must also change. We see that, a firm is one where organizers bring the resources, mobilize the resources, put them into practice, and earn something. And against that, everybody get rent over it, interest is paid, rent is paid, then profit is there. Different factors are being shared by different stakeholders. This view we need to change, because earlier we have been having a very static way of doing business. There was, linear functioning we were observing. We were having a very set of things, and dynamism was of course there, but this dynamism has now converted into fluid and non-linear model. It's a very fluid. If you see the organization structures, it has become now type of amoeba. It has no shape, no defined, hierarchy. So you can get collaborated with somebody. You can have one aspect from this side, one aspect from that side, and then you come and do the things in collaboration. So it's an amoeba type of a setting that we need to have. It's a very fluid and it's non-linear. It's not hierarchical. It's a very typical in, setup. So we must have to have a proper response to the changing scenario of business and industry and economy as such. I am just giving you an insight who gained in this and who lost in this. So if you see or if you observe on your own, you will find that the businesses of video conferencing and virtual interface have gone up like anything. To cite one example, Zoom. Have you ever heard of Zoom earlier? Respondents, can you respond? Participants?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you any time hear of
Yes, sir.
Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prior to COVID?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prior to COVID?
Prior to COVID, very less.
Yes.
No.
Prior to COVID, very less.
We would have
Yes, sir.
just
Yes, sir.
heard about it, but not used it.
Yeah.
That
We were
practically
knowing
speaking,
there
sir,
is
prior
some video
COVID, I have never
conferencing
heard about Zoom.
softwares that are used by the corporates for connecting through different destinations, having meeting. But we never thought of a use by a common man like Zoom and then Google and then Team and all this Cisco. We never thought of. So these businesses are booming now. Then we have second, that is games and entertainment. Because we need to get ourselves engaged. The game industry is making merry like anything. Game industry, entertainment industry is making money like anything. Netflix, have you ever heard earlier? No. The use of YouTube downloads gone up in multiples. In terms of downloads, I'm saying it increased, growth rate is in multiples. Well, health services and FMCGs. Health services, it's a completely dominated. The whole economy is dominated by the healthcare system now. It's you talk about the hospitals, you talk about the pharmacies, you talk about the support system, you talk about the different supply chain system that are involved in health services, as well as FMCG products also making good rounds there. Good growth rate they are observing. Then we have increase into D2C e-commerce, direct to customers e-commerce. You are not going to market. You are buying everything by just giving an order to Zomato or Swiggy and all that. You are getting your inventories of your kitchen filled up by giving orders online. So it's e-commerce is taking place. E-commerce is gaining ground, and D2C is basically a part of an e-commerce model. Then the business of education technology, EdTech is going up. All are into learning business now. And India is a big market, it's being seen, more than $23 billion. So it's a big market ahead we have, and it's still making, I may say, a lot of money, EdTech. Can you give me an example of EdTech company which has made fortunes in last 2 years?
Byju's,
Very good, very good. Byju's.
Vedantu.
Yes, very good. They are making, there are so many ERPs also that are into, I mean, say, market now available with the name of EdTech. Then fintech companies are also doing well. Can you give me an example of fintech company in last 2 years?
Z-Money.
Pardon?
Z-Money.
I'm not getting.
Z-Money. Z-Money.
I'm not getting.
Z-Money.
Z-Money.
Yeah.
Yes. And Paytm.
Paytm.
Google Pay.
Google Pay.
Team.
Sir,
Google Pay is number one, sir.
Yes, they are all number one now. They are, I mean, say number one. All are going in the same direction of upward trend. You won't find anybody in the fintech business is going downward. All are showing upward trend. They are gaining grounds. Then we have hyper local services. It's huge businesses we are having in different, I mean, say, formats and different combinations and in different collaborations. We are working with each other and delivering service to the people. Then SaaS PaaS. What do you mean by SaaS PaaS? Software as a service, platform as a service. This is a big, I mean, say, market that people are recording, those who are into this business of SaaS and PaaS. Software as a service and platform as a service, they are using it. Chrome, for instance, it's a platform using software, different software and different, I mean, say, application softwares and apps have been developed. They are making money. They are getting, I mean, say, a huge market share, or they're, I mean, say, they are aggressively going into the scattering the market and earning and going good. Then who lost in the last 2 years, 15, 16 months? Businesses in general, all malls, all general traders, all consumer durables, travel, tourism, hospitality, entertainment. Entertainment means from the angle of cinema. Travel tourism, it has impacted too much. Still, we have no, I mean, say, normalcy observed in air, then in railway, even in road transport. The major blow is for the hospitality industry as a whole, means all hotels, all tourist operators, all travel agents, all travel services, all businesses that are around hospitality are getting affected. Entertainment badly impacted. Then similarly, consumer durable is also passing through rough weathers. So if you see that there are certain organizations who are suffering, businesses in general, travel, tourism, entertainments, and consumer durables. Those who are dependent on technology, they are making merry, they are making grounds. So it means what? It means the trend of technology is going to dominate the decades to come. No, it's a twist and turn of the businesses and trades we are observing. Because of the volatile nature of business and trade, because ups and downs and fluctuations. Ratan Tata says that ups and downs is the sign of life. Yes, but it should not be too volatile. If it is up, it is all right. But when it is down, it should not be steep. I mean, say increase should be steep, but decline should not be steep. The volatile nature of the business, after particularly the introduction of the LPG concept in India, that was the lead, I mean, initiative taken by the government that time. We considered that as a new norm of life, that borderless economy we are having. We can trade anywhere, from anywhere to anywhere. Businesses are having, I mean, say, global nature, and truly organizations are multinational, international in its true sense. But what has happened? After acceptance of that, we are being put under by the nature into, and it was epidemic. Later on, it was converted into pandemic, and that has twisted and turned the mode and makeup of businesses world over. It has, it has changed the whole mode and makeup of the businesses. Means new ways of doing things. It has twisted in such a way that when you twist something, if you see a iron rod and if you twist it, it becomes more strengthened. So that's why we are becoming more strengthened, more competent, and more tough in our own right. So businesses are becoming complex, more tough, and to be immobilized because of these changes that we wanted to have. But it's a fluid organizations. We wanted to twist it, but at the same time, we just can't make it more strengthened because there are so many challenges we are facing and passing through it. Then resource compulsions and forced innovation is something new we have to consider in the contemporary setting. In the present time, the businesses demand more rational approach in resource management. We need to look it wherever possible. We have to optimize the resource management. The precarious nature of business resources is compelling us, asking us to rethink the strategies of business where less physical and more electronic contacts preferred. Whatever is possible, we must deliver it through electronic medium. And electronic medium or technology is coming in between in a more focused way, in a more, exhaustive way rather. An intensive use of technology is something which is a compelling force. And also one important, that is innovation. I will show you one video, and not it's a video, it's a presentation I just got in a social networking group. I thought it's more appropriate to share here. Just let me share that. New Zealand is going for an innovative idea. Where it is? I'm just searching it. Okay, let me stop searching. I will, when it is ready, I will share you. Just a moment. Wait for a minute. It's downloading, just a moment. Just can you see this? Hello?
No, sir. No, sir.
You can't see? Just a moment.
No, sir.
You can't see?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
It is visible, sir. Visible.
Just a moment, just a moment. It's a big inside, that's why it's a something around 8-9 MB. Now can you see?
Yes, sir. It's visible
Okay.
now.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
visible,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you have seen how it is going to revolutionize the electricity supply. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Now you have seen how it is going to change radically the whole concept of supply and distribution of electricity. It's going to make change, and it is going to create job loss for all those who are there in electricity boards. Very few people will be required, so they need to shift from this profession to the new vocation of wireless supply of electricity. One more example I can give you, that when the electric car will be there in the market, you did not have to have the engine in the motors, in the cars. And in one engine, suppose say you have a screw, nut, bolts, all small components makes say around 200-300 components. So if 100-300 component suppliers will be affected by one single decision of having batteries. So you can understand how ancillary will be hit and how automobile manufacturers will be hit. So whole, say supply chain gets affected. And that's why it's a prediction of the McKinsey that by 2030, there will be a major shift in the occupation and vocation of almost 10 crore people, means 100 million people. Okay, 100 million people, you can understand. So it's a big change it is going to have in the days to come, particularly somewhere around 2030. I'm going to show you one more video, which is related to the Elon Musk company. One of the, Hindi journalist, one of the Hindi journalists has given. I just got it. So I will be showing that to you also here. Hello, can you see this? Hello.
No, sir.
Just
No,
sir. Just a second.
No, sir.
Yeah. You may not agree what the comments he is making, but go through it. Just go through it. You may not agree with the comments what he is making. Okay.
Visible, sir.
You can see now.
Visible now.
It's visible.
Visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's visible, sir, right now.
Just अ मोमेंट।
सहारा नहीं लेते। अब सुनिए कि कैसे एलन मस्क भारत में सीधे मुकेश अंबानी के साम्राज्य को हिलाने के लिए कदम रखने जा रहे हैं, बल्कि कहना चाहिए कि रख चुके हैं। ज्यादातर लोग एलन मस्क को कार कंपनी टेस्ला के सीईओ के तौर पर जानते हैं, लेकिन मस्क की एक और कंपनी है स्पेस एक्स। उनकी एक तीसरी कंपनी भी है स्टारलिंक। टेस्ला तो भारत में आ ही रही है, बेंगलुरु में कंपनी ने अपना दफ्तर भी बना लिया है, जल्दी ही प्रोडक्शन भी शुरू कर सकती है। लेकिन अंबानी के साम्राज्य को खतरा टेस्ला से नहीं है, क्योंकि वो कार बाजार में नहीं है, स्पेस एक्स और स्टारलिंक से है। इसको जरा ठीक से समझिएगा, क्योंकि अभी आपको लग रहा होगा कि स्पेस एक्स और स्टारलिंक से आपको क्या लेना देना, लेकिन मेरा यकीन मानिए, इस वीडियो के खत्म होते होते आप इंटरनेट पर स्टारलिंक और स्पेस एक्स का अता पता खोज रहे होंगे। इसकी वजह यह है कि एलन मस्क सुपर फास्ट वायरलेस इंटरनेट के साथ भारत में दस्तक दे रहे हैं। उसकी रफ्तार के सामने अंबानी का जियो पानी भरेगा। यह काम स्टारलिंक करेगा, जिससे टेक्नोलॉजी देगी एलन मस्क की ही दूसरी कंपनी स्पेस एक्स। इस कंपनी की टेक्नोलॉजी का अंदाजा इसी से लगाइए कि स्टारलिंक का जो सैटेलाइट बीम है वो बाकी सैटेलाइट्स की तुलना में धरती से पूरे 60 गुना करीब है, 60 टाइम्स। मतलब मोटे तौर पर जितनी देर में अंबानी का जियो किसी सूचना को ट्रांसफर करेगा, उसके 60वें हिस्से में एलन मस्क का स्पेस एक्स कर देगा। इसका सीधा मतलब होता है सुपर फास्ट इंटरनेट। अब देखिए अंबानी की नींद कैसे उड़ी हुई है। स्टारलिंक ने कहा है कि वो भारत में अगले साल कदम रखने जा रहा है। यह तय है कि आते ही वो इंटरनेट बाजार में तहलका मचाएगी। दिल्ली, बेंगलुरु, मुंबई, चेन्नई, कोलकाता और हैदराबाद जैसे महानगरों में जहां फास्ट इंटरनेट की खपत सबसे ज्यादा है, वहां कंपनी ने खास तौर पर आंखें गड़ा रखी है। स्टारलिंक के आक्रामक अभियान का अंदाजा इसी से लगाइए कि लॉन्चिंग में अभी साल भर का वक्त बाकी है, लेकिन कंपनी ने अभी से अपनी वेबसाइट पर प्री बुकिंग की तैयारी शुरू कर दी है, कीमत भी तय कर दी है और भुगतान लेना भी शुरू करने वाली है। इसके बारे में बताएंगे, लेकिन इसके पहले समझ लीजिए कंपनी की टेक्नोलॉजी और कंपनी की तैयारी। स्टारलिंक प्रोजेक्ट के लिए एलन मस्क की दूसरी कंपनी स्पेस एक्स पहले ही 1000 सैटेलाइट अंतरिक्ष में भेज चुकी है। 1000। मस्क की योजना इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए 12000 सैटेलाइट अंतरिक्ष में भेजने की है। यह अंतरिक्ष में किसी भी एक कंपनी की सबसे ताकतवर मौजूदगी होगी। संसार की दूसरी कंपनियों की तैयारी इसके आसपास छोड़िए, इसके 100वें हिस्से के बराबर भी नहीं है। मस्क जानते हैं कि भारत दुनिया के सबसे बड़े बाजार में से एक है और कारोबार में इसे दरकिनार नहीं किया जा सकता। यही सोचकर अंबानी ने भी 4 साल पहले जियो को बहुत आक्रामक तरीके से लॉन्च किया था 2016 में। और जियो के लगभग 40 करोड़ ग्राहक हैं मोटे तौर पर, लेकिन किसान आंदोलन के बाद लोगों ने तेजी से जियो को छोड़ा भी है। नए ग्राहकों का जुड़ाव भी बहुत सुस्त पड़ गया है, बहिष्कार कर रहे हैं लोग। एलन मस्क की नजर इसी बाजार पर है। जियो जहां अभी 50 से 200 एमबीपीएस की स्पीड दे रहा है, वहीं स्टारलिंक 300 एमबीपीएस स्पीड के साथ बाजार में प्रवेश करेगा। स्टारलिंक की योजना भविष्य में 1 जीबीपीएस स्पीड देने की है। जियो के सामने जो असल चुनौती होगी वो ये कि मस्क की तैयारी वायरलेस हाई स्पीड इंटरनेट पहुंचाने की है, मतलब बिना तार के। भारत के ग्रामीण और दूर दराज के इलाकों में इसकी मांग तेजी से बढ़ रही है, लेकिन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का खर्च ज्यादा होने के कारण कंपनियां ग्रामीण बाजार को दरकिनार करती हैं। ऐसे में वायरलेस इंटरनेट की योजना ला रहे एलन मस्क के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा बाजार पहले से तैयार बैठा हुआ है। इसीलिए एलन मस्क की इस तैयारी को, योजना को बहुत क्रांतिकारी माना जा रहा है। अब समझते हैं एलन मस्क के आक्रामक बाजार अभियान को। स्टारलिंक ने भारत में बाकायदा इसकी प्री बुकिंग की तैयारी भी शुरू कर दी है। भारत में अभी तक स्टारलिंक ने ऑफिस तक नहीं खोला है, लेकिन इसके होम पेज पर बुकिंग का विकल्प दिया जाने वाला है। इस ऑप्शन पर क्लिक करते ही इलाके का पिन कोड मांगा जाएगा। पिन नंबर डालने के बाद आपसे सही इलाका चुनने को कहा जाएगा, गांव, मोहल्ला, कस्बा। उस पर क्लिक करने के बाद ऑर्डर नाउ का विकल्प आएगा। इसके बाद आपसे एक फॉर्म भरवाया जाएगा और फिर भुगतान करने को कहा जाएगा। स्टारलिंक ने फिलहाल इसकी कीमत रखी है $99। लगभग 7,300 रुपए आपको अपने डेबिट या क्रेडिट कार्ड से यह रकम चुकानी होगी। यह रकम उस मशीन की लागत है जो स्टारलिंक आपके घर या दफ्तर में लगाएगा। अंबानी के जियो की हालत इसलिए खराब है कि स्टारलिंक अपनी सेवा अभी पूरी तरह से मुफ्त देने वाला है, जैसे जियो ने शुरू में दी थी। आप जब भी कनेक्शन वापस करेंगे आपके 7300 रुपए आपको वापस मिल जाएंगे। जियो की तुलना में कई गुना फास्ट इंटरनेट बिल्कुल मुफ्त। कोई नहीं जानता कि स्टारलिंक अपनी यह सेवा कितने दिनों के लिए मुफ्त देगा, लेकिन कम से कम अंबानी जी इसका विरोध नहीं कर पाएंगे, क्योंकि जब उन्होंने जियो की सेवा मुफ्त देनी शुरू की थी और दूसरी टेलीकॉम कंपनियों ने इसका विरोध किया था तो उन्होंने इसे हवा में उड़ा दिया था। जब किसानों की अपील पर लोगों ने जियो के सिम पोर्ट कराने शुरू किए, बहिष्कार कराना शुरू किया, तो अंबानी के गुरूर पर चोट लगी।
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ah.
You are audible.
You got how I may say the technology is taking a leap forward, how technology is revolutionizing the way I may say businesses have been doing. One I may say video we have seen where wireless electricity is there. Second, we have seen wireless internet is there. Now, what these big companies are doing, these big companies are coming in a big way with aggression, you have to understand. What the SME sector is going to do. SME sector is small, medium enterprises, even micro also, MSME also, they should focus more on innovation because they cannot go for aggression and more investment in terms of finances, but they can definitely go ahead in the days to come with their innovations. So this, I may say, this is the takeaway for us for today, that all big organizations who are really multinationals, they are coming of dominating and capturing the market. But we have a very good market open for MSMEs also. With the help of innovations, they can conquer and they can continue to dominate their businesses. I will be going to my next slide. That is the new dawn that we have. The new dawn, if you see here, that it starts with here, acceptance of new normal through adaptability and nimbler way of doing things
So your
without
presentation
investing
is
in
not
things.
visible.
Hello?
Sir, please share the screen, sir.
Presentation is
Hello?
not visible.
Just a moment, just a moment.
Yes.
Can you see now?
Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Yes.
Now, if you see that what you have to have here in this new dawn, acceptance of new normal through adaptability, nimbler way of working, then technology is a life jacket, that is the digital transformation that is going to be your life jacket in the, I may say, decades to come. Then mitigating the risk by strong supply chain management systems. Then innovation is your key force. Then work from home, cost control methodology, it is being adopted and it will continue to dominate. Then rationalization, disparate collaboration we need to have. Wherever possible, we should avoid competition and we should go for collaborations. If you remember the Michael Spence book, he wrote, Nobel laureate, he wrote one book, Next Convergence, I think. He was a Nobel laureate of 2007 or 8. In which he has shown the new path ahead. It is only the emerging economic they should go with collaboration. So on the front page, he has given the title rabbit race, we call it, no? So they are, I mean, say, coming together and having merger and alliances. So these are the days of merger and alliances. They have to go hand in hand. So collaboration is the compelling aspect, you may say, or compelling factor, you may say. Then resilience and many nations, one narration we are having, that is many nations and one narration that we have, that is to have the change. Then macro level trends here, you can find it, I mean, say, in the study that is done here. Provity.com here. Workplace design will be reimagined. Then increasing employee flexibility in many areas through a virtual work experience. Then business models will need to adjust post-pandemic or customer or consumer behavior. Then past decisions to build tight coupling and complexity into supply chains will be revisited rather. Then corporate culture founded on trust will prove vital to the company's resiliency and ability to pivot in the face of changing market realities. And organizations that advance their digital maturity and ensure the hygiene of the technologies, enabling their work environment will be more successful. In the last, I will be taking one report of the IBM. I will be taking you directly there. Now, if you see this, the study was conducted by the COVID, by the IBM on COVID. And just going through the headlines because we have a short of time. We are running short of time. So change remains the name of the game. What they have given, 5 epiphanies from the leading executives, new realities you may say as 5 epiphanies from leading executives. What they are? Epiphany number 1, that is new revelation number 1, that is digital transformation was never just about the technology. So it is said that 59% accelerated digital transformation they agreed, 66% completed initiatives that previously encountered resistance. Now acceptance is there. Then trust and agility is paying off, defining a new, a different normal, shifted to more cloud-based business activities, 64%, accelerated process automation is 60%, adjusted their process to change management 60%, made permanent change to organization strategy 55%. And you can go through, this epiphany number 2, the human element is the key to success. Says employees and executives don't see eye to eye. Here 74% employees, they believe the organization is helping staff learn the skills needed to work in a way. Like that, different interpretations you can make on the basis of the analysis presented in this. Then epiphany number 3, traumatic stress has hijacked the corporate strategy. Here, percentage is given here. Cost management, enterprise agility, then cash flow and liquidity management, cyber security, IT resiliency, then cloud and mobility, Internet of Things, and new product development and new market entry. Then number 4, we have someone will win, someone will lose, but few will do it alone. So there's figure number 5 given is businesses as partnering up. Executive, they plan to participate in platforms or the ecosystems and partner network significantly more in future than before doing COVID. So in 2018, it is like this. In 2020, in 2022, it's going to dominate. It's inclining trend you can find here in this. So whole report is there. I have given you here the URL also, the address also. Health is the key to sustainability. It's going up from 43% preference to 92%, 32 to 82%, and 16 to 74% of the environmental impact, sustainability, and workforce safety. These parameters. So you can go through. It's a 12-page report. I'm giving you here the link of that. You can go through that. Okay. I think we should stop here because it's almost 1:15, and you people have to go for lunch also, because from 2 o'clock you will be having your another session. So I think thank you very much for giving a patient hearing to me. I could have covered some more aspects, but it's short of time. So we'll be taking some time, if possible, in the any of the session, if it is permissible or possible for me. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any question? I will be taking questions.
Thank
fast.
you so much, sir.
If you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll propose vote of thanks.
Yes, if anything is there, you just ask me. Otherwise, we'll finish off. It's almost 1:15.
Good afternoon, sir. Dr. Reshma Nikhat. It is so glad and wonderful to listen to your lecture,
Yes.
sir. I wish to have more lectures from you in the department in the coming time, sir. Very nice presentation.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Good afternoon,
Thank you so much.
everybody.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Saifuddin, sir, for deputing me to propose vote of thanks. At the very outset, I would like to thank Professor Razaullah, sir, HOD Management Studies MANUU, for his session on changing business paradigms. Sir, you explained clearly and lucidly on the changing business scenario. How are we balancing by maintaining physical distance at the same time connecting electronically? You also spoke about how the businesses have transformed from pre-COVID era to present situation, how COVID-19 has emerged as a game changer. So, the present situation is going to affect the vocation and occupation of 100 million people according to the presentation you made by 2030. Very startling news, sir. But at the same time, you also gave a positive action plan as to if we need to align ourselves to the new normal, we'll have to learn, adapt, and change to the new system. Sir, you gave a very beautiful punchline. Trend of technology is going to rule the world, which is 100% true for present and future times. Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful session. We foresee for few more sessions from you in future. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Very, very thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Attendance link for second session, sir.
Reshma madam, if you are there in the online.